Welcome to the third course. So last course, we talked about the process of coming up with your story. We came up with beginning, middle, and end. And we came up with the main character, we came up with the villain, and we came up with the conflict. So today, I'm going to teach you how to bring that story into screenplay. Now, screenplay is the industry standard of how people communicate. Screenplay is what the actors look at, is what the crew look at, is what the cameraman look at, is what the producer look at, and they're able to budget out the budget for your movie. So screenplay is actually quite important. It's kind of like a blueprint for your movie. So unfortunately, you really have to write this down before you go to shoot. Some people say, well, I know everything's in my head and I'm just gonna go and shoot. You can do that too, but the work is gonna be harder because once you finish shooting, you realize, oh no, I missed this, I missed that shot. Then you have to go back and reshoot. And then you have to get all your actors and crew back. So that's not fun, trust me. So you want to get it right. And when you get it right, you do it one time and you're done, okay? So now is the time to get it right. It's to write everything down on screenplay so you know exactly what you're going to be shooting. So screenplay is kind of like a blueprint of what you're going to be shooting, okay? So this is very important part. So screenplay is a little bit different than when you're writing a book or an essay. Screenplay is about writing visually, okay? For example, if you want to write a story about a boy who wants to ask a girl out on a date, you write out the boy meets the girl, okay? So then you got to think visually. Visually meaning like, where is it going to take place? Is it going to take place at a park or is it going to take place at a cafeteria? Because if it takes place at a park, it's daytime, you might not need too many lights, but if it's going to be indoor at a cafeteria, it's going to be a lot more lights that you might need to light up the scene. So these are the things that helps you figure out what you need to do before the shoot. So as you can see, screenplay is important because it helps you think about your story. Also, you have to think about, is it better at a park? Visually, is it better? Or visually, is it better at a cafeteria? You have to figure that out and you can write that down. Let's say you decide to shoot this scene at the cafeteria. So, okay, we're gonna shoot it at the cafeteria. Okay, so then you write down visually what's going on, what's going to happen with the boy going to approach the girl. So you write down the boy approached the girl. Okay, he walks over. And then you wanted to show that he's nervous. Do you write he's very nervous? Can you show that? Yes. But in a screenplay, you write actions. You don't really write what the boy is thinking because you can't shoot what we're thinking. So you write down the boy has sweat dripping down his face. Okay, that's good, right? So you can see visually what's going on, or the boy accidentally dropped his tray and dropped the food on the floor and everybody laughs. Okay, and that's also action visually. When you're writing for movie, think about action. I mean action, I don't mean like fighting action. I mean even like scenes like a boy meets girl, there still needs to be an action, right? So you can't write what he's thinking in his head. You can show it. The most important thing when you write screenplay is show, don't tell. Because you tell people what's going on, that's not gonna translate into film, okay? But if you show what people's going on, The cameraman knows what's going on. Then the cast knows what's going on, and the crew knows what's going on. You show people saying, okay, the boy has sweat dripping down his face, and then he accidentally trips and drops his tray, and everybody laughs. He goes to the bathroom to clean himself up, and then he go to the girl again. Okay, that creates tension, and that makes him even more nervous. Now the stake is high, and if you go up there, she rejects him or she accepts him. That's the suspense, because we build that up to that point. Okay, and you can write that down in the screenplay. And some of you might say, well, I have it all in my head. I'm just going to shoot it, and everything's in here. That's fine. But screenplay is like a blueprint for your movie. Think about it like this. You're an architect and you're designing a building. Because you can only build it once, you wanted to figure out the length and the width of the exact size, right? And then you draw it out, you figure it out, and then you go and build it. It's the same with movie making. If you just go and shoot the film, you're gonna make some mistakes. I'm here to help you not to make those mistakes. Don't do things the hard way. Do things the right way, okay? And the right way is to write down the screenplay. Now, if you're an architect, you just decided not to draw your building out or not to figure out the exact size, you go and build it, the building's gonna be weird, and the building's not gonna be solid, and maybe one side is higher and one side is lower. Same with screenplay. You write everything down, and then this is when you try to see if your movie makes sense, okay? So you write everything down, and then you look at it like it's your movie, because once you start shooting, it's very hard to focus what scene goes before another scene. If you're shooting a 3-minute short film, okay, but if you're shooting a 2-hour movie, you're gonna have at least 40 to 50 scenes. And if you don't have it written down really clearly, you're gonna mess it up. So trust me, screenplay is a must. So you must write out the screenplay. Write it out. When we were younger, we feel like movie is a visual medium. We don't want to write it down. We just want to see the visual. I can figure it out. But as more you do, the more you realize how important screenplay is. So write down the screenplay, transfer your story into the screenplay. And remember, I said filmmaking is hard, but it's also fun and rewarding. Well, this is the hard part, writing it down, figure everything out. But once you figure this part out, you're gonna have fun when you're doing the directing, and you'll see a reward when you finish your film, because everything will come together and you will be glad that you did all this work to lay the foundation. Remember, in the beginning, I talked about foundation. That is very important. That's why it takes quite a few courses for me to talk about the foundation, because once you lay down the foundation, then it's easy to build the layers. And that's when we really have fun, okay? And we'll get to that in the next course about directing, about the fun part. So right now, we gotta figure out the logical part, okay? I know. It's not as fun as you want it to be, but it is something you have to figure out. And once you got this part over with, everything will be fun, okay? Just think about sailing a boat. You have to figure out all the technicalities with getting the right wind and getting everything right before you sail the boat. Obviously, if you're doing a short film, there's less detail. But if you're doing a half an hour or a 1 hour film, there's going to be a lot of details you need to figure out. You know, boy gets the girl, boy loses the girl, the bad guy come beat up the boy practice kung fu maybe or martial art and goes back, beat up the bad guy and wins the girl. Okay, so these are the details we have to figure out. Like, okay, where did he go to learn martial art? Or maybe the bad guy set him up and the girl misunderstands him. She thinks he's a jerk. So how does he try to clarify things? So these are the details. So let's just start with Act 1. So as you see in the workbook, I've explained the detailed Act 1 steps that you can put in your screenplay for Act 1. There's something that Hollywood figure out how to hook the audience from Act 1 because people have short attention. So you really need to hook them right away nowadays. With people on Netflix or on streaming, they're not sitting in the movie theater waiting for something exciting to happen to your film. They're just gonna turn the channel or, go to another website. They're gonna, people have short attention span. So Act 1 is really important that you hook your audience. Okay, we call it, this is the part that you hook somebody. So that's why if you watch a movie nowadays or some show on Netflix, you will notice the first part, there is a really exciting scene right in the beginning. So this is the scene that hooked the audience, that makes the audience say, oh, wow, that's the hook that they always have in the beginning. But if beginning nothing's happening, a lot of time they might not have the patience to continue to watch. So in the first act, you got to have that hook. Now I want to talk about second and third act, but we ran out of time. So we're gonna have another session to talk about the 3 acts, okay? And I promise we'll get to directing, but let's lay down the foundation first. Let's talk about the 3 acts. Let's get your screenplay together before we can shoot, okay? And I will talk about that in the next course. Meanwhile, take a look at the 3-act structure in the book. It states clearly about the acts. Study them a little bit, and we'll talk about it for the next course. And I will show you some exciting film clips that demonstrate the different acts. Okay, so I hope you look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. So I'll see you next time.